Welcome to the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, is the best way for you to grow your wealth. I'm your host, Brett Swarts, and each episode I'm joined by some of the best financial, wealth, business, and real estate minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. I'm excited about our next guest. She's out of the great state of Texas, and she is the co-founder and CEO of Meyer Tax, the CPA.com coaching program for accountants, and TaxPlanIQ. All of them give you, or as a business professional or as an owner, basically an ROI to execute ways to grow your wealth. She's also a motivational speaker, and she has a team of 10 that spans from Texas to Hawaii, and she uses 100% virtual workflows, which we'll actually touch on this episode. Please welcome to the show with me, Jackie Meyer. Hey, Jackie, how you doing?
I'm great. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on the show. Would you give our listeners a little bit more about your background and your current focus?
Okay, so I was just making sure we're both good to go on Facebook. Okay, so hi everyone, my name's Jackie Meyer. I am a CPA first and foremost. I've owned a boutique high net worth firm in Southlake, Texas, which is a suburb of the Dallas area, for about a decade now. I went through all the highs and lows of being a firm owner. Started having kids about 7 years ago and couldn't really keep up with how crazy it is to be a tax practitioner. I know a lot of you understand that pain. Business ownership in general is difficult too. So I sought out a business coach, which I highly recommend. Find someone that is your jam, that you get along with, you can communicate with really easily. And that for me was a person named Chuck Bauer. And he started coaching me, converted my entire practice from, hourly billing, tax preparation services to value pricing around tax strategies, really bridging my passion and purpose for what I can do best for clients. And then it went so well that people like Intuit and Chuck Bauer himself asked me to actually partner up and do speaking events with them. And so I started the Certified Concierge Accountant program. We do about 6 to 8 masterminds a year, Chuck and I, to help accountants get better at everything they need to do in their practice. And then my passion project in 2020, why not, during pandemic, become a software developer. So TaxPlanIQ was born, and it lets the accountants show their ROI visually to their clients for the tax strategies that they're implementing. So that's me.
Beautiful, Jackie. Thanks for sharing that. And I love that you have a passion for helping other CPAs level up their business and business owners just to make sense of workflows. Before we dive into some of those strategies, though, I'd like to take a step back and give our listeners a chance to get to know you a little bit better. And I want you to go back maybe to your, it could be your high school days, your college days when you were younger. And, I believe we've all been given certain gifts in this life, and these gifts have been given to us to be a blessing and help to others. And some people call them strengths or superpowers, but I'm curious, what maybe were the 1 or 2 maybe strengths or gifts that you believe you were given, and how does that help how you help or bless people today?
Wow, that is a great question. I haven't been asked that before. I love it, Brett. I laugh because I think that gift might be kind of a negative thing in some people's eyes, but it's literally my pushback against the norm, if that makes any sense. Like, I always question why. Why are we doing it this way? Why is society like this? Why can't we achieve and be better and do better and give back more? And because of that passion and drive that, gosh, I wish I could identify why people have that. I know Tony Robbins has a lot of theories about that. But, I think that's probably my big superpower, is just never giving up, always seeking excellence, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, and it's something that we need more than ever in this day and age of, I like to say, is a vacuum of quality leadership, right? Who are not necessarily pushing it back against the norm, or maybe they are, but they're doing it in a different way that's not necessarily bringing people together, right? And so it's definitely a strength and a gift that everybody, I believe, needs from quality leaders. And so, thank you for sharing that. Now, let's chat now about TaxPlanIQ and how to help CPAs level up their offering and get a solid ROI to show their clients a way to help them create and preserve more wealth. First of all, where did this come from? Give us a story. And at what point would you say, what was the transition between, okay, I've been able to do it for myself. I created this thing. I'm building it. Now I'm going to help others do it. Walk us through kind of that transition and the big challenge facing a lot of CPA firms today.
Yeah, so the biggest challenge facing a CPA or EA firm today is time. They never have enough of it. Our tax laws are constantly changing. Every year I hear people say, I was just interviewed by the Dallas Business Journal, and I was quoted, well, I said the wrong idiom, but I do that sometimes. I'll say the wrong words, so my apologies in advance if I do. Let's just laugh about it. I was like, I've been around the bush long enough to know that every year tax people say this is the hardest year yet, but it's not. They're all hard years because we chose to be in a really crazy profession. And whether the tax law is changing with, new government members or other reasons, it's always changing and evolving. And so you have to keep up with that change and innovation. And to me, it's like, why hoard all of that information? I've gotten the success that I need in my practice. I can take very good care of my family, my husband, my children, support me to the fullest. And why wouldn't I want to share that with other people? Because that really was the missing component, I think, with just operating a CPA firm. I wanted even more than like the amazing ROI that we can show to our clients themselves as business owners and high net worth. I wanted to take it even further and like really just like impact our industry and like infiltrate our industry with tax strategies, which is super weird and geeky, but that's, where my passion lies. So.
Absolutely love that. I think they call that success formula, right? We're using the best gifts that we've been given, right? Times maximizing the potential of that gift, times the number of people we can impact. That equals success and fulfillment in our working career or any really parts of our lives. So taking what you were able to do with your own personal CPA firm and now be able to make an impact for others, right? That's a huge impact and that's really fulfilling. So I love that you've taken that and you're helping other CPA firms grow. And that being said, what exactly is TaxPlanIQ and how does that practically help CPAs get more time back and add a better value for their clients?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what it's not. It's not a tax preparation software, and it's not even a tax projection software, which are really what dominate the market right now. What it is a tax strategy software for accountants. And so they can actually pick from a list of 60 plus tax strategies, which I know we're incorporating one of your faves into it now. And we can talk more about that as well, right? But they can choose from, very simply, from a list of these strategies, pop in what the deductible amount might be. Let's say $100,000 if they do a cost segregation study for a client. It'll automatically calculate what that tax savings would be based on the individual's marginal rate or C Corp flat rate, and then produce an ROI report. So it's literally saying, I can save you, or this last year I did save you $200,000 in taxes through 3 to 5 different strategies or whatever. Here's what my cost was, or your investment in us. Let's say that's $15,000, $20,000 a year. And here's your ROI, which is ginormous, right? And so you can't argue with the ROI. Now, obviously, there's a lot more intangible results and things that we bring to the table every day for our clients. But that, again, you just can't argue with the ROI. At the end of the day, we can't guarantee the tax savings, but we can guarantee their satisfaction. And so, that's just one component of one of the things that we want to make sure that our clients get.
Love it. Let me make sure I capture that. So I like to say math equals facts, right? I mean, it's math, right? So like, what's your return on your investment? So what is the value, whatever we're selling or whatever we're helping to bring to other folks? What is the value for the investment of that, and what's the return? And that's when you can show that value and it's big enough. Guess what? The fees don't. It's just a return on your investment. The fees just pay for that. So what's the biggest objection that you receive that you'd like to maybe overcome, or biggest false belief? And I love the way you put it, by the way, too. It's tax strategy software. It's not tax prep, right? It's leveling up what you offer, right? And then like to say, the big domino falls over. If you're bringing massive value for your clients, guess what? All that other stuff, they're going to say, great, let's go do that stuff too, right? So walk us through what the CPA is struggling with right now, especially with the automation industry coming in, right? And the need to level up and provide more than just tax prep.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple different avenues here. One, I mentioned time. Time restrictions. Our busy season's compressed this year, as usual. I mean, nothing new there. They're always changing our deadlines and whatnot. But, individual tax season doesn't open until February 12th, I believe, this year. So everyone's freaking out. I host about 5,000 people in a Facebook group called Accounting Firm Influencers, and would love for your listeners that are accountants to join as well, where we talk about this kind of stuff on a daily basis. But people are freaking out. They don't know how they're going to do another busy season, how they're going to keep up with the time constraints of all the compliance stuff going on. And so what I'm trying to do is break that vicious, ugly cycle of being stuck in an hourly job at an hourly rate and not benefiting from additional efficiencies that you can provide to the client. And so when I converted my practice, I actually sold 60% of my clients off. And then I kept the ones that I knew that I could find the biggest ROI for. Okay. And so based on that, it was really win-win because they were all about it and they loved it. So time is a huge constraint to even get people to want to even look at a product like this, because they don't even want to touch tax planning right now. But the thing is there's never a good time to better yourself, right? But now. So, I mean, you have to just make that commitment. I think the other side of the argument is that, showing a client ROI that's like unethical, or it's against the CPA rules, or, the AICPA doesn't allow that. And that's actually not true whatsoever. There are certain things we can and can't say, or can and can't guarantee. And it's a bunch of legal jargon. But at the end of the day, again, you're not guaranteeing the tax savings, you're guaranteeing their satisfaction. You don't even have to do that. That's just what my practice decided to do. But we want to make sure that we're providing a minimum standard of some sort for our clients. And so if we see their ROI going like under 200%, we need to reassess. Like, do we need to lower our clients' fees? Are we not the right fit for this client anymore? Because we're not adding the value, right?
Excellent. Yeah. And so let's break down some of those strategies. And thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. And it's also selling off 60% of your clients to focus on the ones you make the biggest impact on. And I think you can apply that same, it's like an 80-20 principle, right? The 20% of our activities, you can produce 80% of the results. And so what are those 20%? What is that key strength that if you're really CPA listening to this, this podcast, right, what's that key strength that you could be using? And how can you potentially use a tool like the TaxPlanIQ software to free up your time and energy and show that true ROI to make a bigger impact? Is that a fair summary, Jackie?
Yeah, sure. So there's an immense amount of time savings because what we're trying to do is supplement the accountant and not replace them. So you mentioned AI and technology coming in and accountants being worried about being replaced. We're not replacing anything. We're just trying to supplement and help out what the accountants already know. So this isn't for someone that doesn't understand a thing about taxes. This is for like an already experienced accountant that already has some of the basic ropes of, doing IRAs or, some of the basic tax strategies and stuff like that. And they really just want the extra checklists, the visual ROI, the ability to communicate with their clients through the portal, all those little extra add-ons that are really just going to compress something that they have to download in 5 to 6 hours of their time normally into, 15 minutes, right?
Beautiful.
So
So let's
it's
break
just
that down right now. Let's break that down right now, right? Because we mentioned cost segregation, and yes, and thank you for the deferred sales trust plug, right? We're aligning strategically to be able to offer that on TaxPlanIQ for CPAs who are interested in helping their clients defer capital gains tax. And there's going to be a special offer inside of Jackie's program for that we'll be able to discuss with Jackie later on. But that being said, I've been in TaxPlanIQ and I log in and I'm looking at some of the top strategies, right? And if you can imagine a login with that, would you break down like what some of those are and just how simple and easy you've made this ROI system?
okay, sure. Okay, so let me take a step back, take off my like advanced planning app, and go kind of back to the basics. So let's go with entity selection. Okay. So I think we call it choice of entity. You can easily search through those 60 plus strategy templates. You go in, you see a client interview portion of it. Okay. And we're adding in things every day. We actually crowdsource a lot of info online. So as people are live asking us on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, how do I implement this, or how would I do a late S corp election, for example? If we don't already have that answer in the templates, we add it. And so it becomes this like evolving, like real-time crowdsourced solution, which is so fun to me. But yeah, so you've got the client overview, you've got internal information that the accountant really needs to know. Like, what's the bottom line stuff I need to know here? What's the potentials of using this strategy? What are the risks involved in using this strategy? And then what additional resources are there? Sometimes there's checklists that we incorporate. We have like a sample form 2553, the late S corp election in there, which has the exact little 2 sentences that are used to do a late S corp election. It's just things like that. It's mind blowing to me. You know, I've been doing S corp elections during my entire career in accounting, and people are still just stumbling onto this stuff. And so we want to take wherever you're at and just like totally expand and compound on that knowledge to just really infiltrate the industry with tax strategists so that they can really help their clients.
Beautiful. Absolutely love that. Check that out, taxplaniq.com. And you can also learn more about Jackie at Jackie Meyer, CPA.com. So we're going to shift a little bit into just capital gains tax deferral and different options and solutions, if it's okay, Jackie, and just discuss, what's the biggest frustration you found with high net worth clients when it comes to capital gains tax deferral options, and walk us through kind of maybe some of the pain points there.
Well, there aren't very many, right? There aren't very many options. We've got like-kind exchanges, which recently was limited to just real property, so that became worse. We've got qualified opportunity zones, which came out with TCJA tax code in 2018, but no one wants to do them, and they don't think that it's a good investment because everyone ate them up like right when it hit as a tax savings provision, and people don't feel like there's really that return there. So there's a lack of available strategies that the IRS promotes, so to speak. That's what I would say about it.
Yeah, spot on. You're right. Exactly right. The opportunity zones, they've been tough because one, inventory is already so low and quality real estate deals are tough. You also typically got to, build something and or buy something that's so run down that you're going to double the amount of your investment, which is also challenging. They're illiquid, typically 7 to 10 year type of holds. So they can work. It seems like there's a small sliver, maybe 10% of them that really look good. Same reason the 1031 is also a challenge, right? Equal or greater value, short time periods, and there's not a lot of inventory. It's a seller's market. Of course, that's why we love the Deferred Sales Trust. It gives an opportunity to be able to defer tax, right? To sit on the sidelines, to get diversified, to get liquid, and then not use a 1031 ever again if you don't want to. By the way, it works for all property types. It works for primary homes, investment real estate. It also works for businesses. It also works for cryptocurrency. It works for stock. It works for artwork and collectibles, whereas the 1031 is very limited. So the key is, I think, getting educated, Jackie, right, and having those options. And that's why also I'm excited to be able to roll out with you and educate your other CPAs that are a part of TaxPlanIQ. And for those who want to get started with TaxPlanIQ and learn more about strategies like the Deferred Sales Trust and cost segregation and different entity structuring and ROIs, what was the best place for them to get started, Jackie?
Well, they could go to taxplaniq.com, sign up for a free 2-week trial, and then they will get access to a limited amount of strategies at first, some of the basics. But to unlock their full version, we will have that as a featured strategy and you as a featured vendor. And so we're really excited for that partnership and relationship with you, Brett. I can't believe I just stumbled on this. It's like, how did I just find out about this? How long has this been around? What's the backstory?
Great question. 25 years now and thousands of closes. I know, right? Thousands of closes. I first learned about it in 2009. Unfortunately, it was about a year and a half too late from the crash. And I'm at Marcus and Millichap helping people buy and sell investment real estate. We learned about 1031 exchange on about day 3. And I went through a process of learning the hard way, not only financially for myself. I was a new broker, and I saw my income that was just good getting going in 06 to 08 really just crash. And I saw my clients, same thing. They had a lot of value that they had exchanged into multiple properties on a 1031. Half of their values either crashed. Some of them lost everything. Some of them lost half. And a lot of them spent the next 5 years digging out with the banks. And the number one thing we found was that they were faced with feeling pressure to overpay via the 1031 exchange. You see, they had sold high, right? And they bought higher 180 days later. And we call it the blockbuster way of doing things versus selling high and buying low, which is like Netflix, right? Ideally, you have no time constraints, but that's what the 1031 too often forces our clients to do. So long story short, my manager at the time at Marcus and Millichap brought in a gentleman who's now my business partner to speak on the Deferred Sales Trust. And like most people are saying, how long has this been around? This seems too good to be true. Like, why hasn't my CPA told me about it? And it wasn't until we learned that it was just IRC 453, an installment sale, and that it's been going around at that point, let's say about 12 years, and they had closed about 1,000 deals at that point, that they were just getting started too. And so fast forward, I started to implement it into my business. I saw my business grow, and now I coach and teach and educate people on this. And I'm one of the exclusive trustees for the Deferred Sales Trust. And we can't get the words out fast enough because, as you probably have heard, and maybe you have some thoughts on this, Biden is considering taking away or limiting the 1031 exchange, and or eliminating the stepped up basis, which has been like the holy grail for commercial real estate owners for so long, right? Swap until you drop, and then when you drop, your kids get to stepped up basis, walk away tax free. So any thoughts on not only that proposal, but any other potential tax changes for Biden?
Oh gosh, where to start? So, I think what I'm telling clients, and it's probably the same answer I would give accountants and you, is that no matter what happens, we will stay on top of the tax changes. We will seek out the best deductions, credits, and tax strategies that we can, and we will. So we all know that taxes are going up. The estate tax exemption is probably going to get halved again in the next 5. It has to in the next 5 years because it expires, but it could even be next year. So there's a lot of different things to think about, and you could just drive yourself nuts trying to plan ahead for things that haven't even happened yet. But I would just encourage everyone to, just seek out advisors and mentors that are always going to find the best solution for you and stay on top of those changes proactively, because as they come, it's going to be down to the wire, I think, trying to figure out what we're going to do to protect those clients.
Yeah, very well said. And by the way, for a plug for the Deferred Sales Trust, we can now sell a highly appreciated asset and move it outside the taxable estate in one day, and which is really unique without having to give it all away to charity. And we actually just did a deal in Colorado, just closed on Thursday, and that client was worth about $25 million, and they're married, and so they have the exclusion on the first $22 million as it stands today. But like Jackie, I agree. We believe in, if not expiring in 2025, if not next year with some proposals, that's going to drop at least probably to 12 married, and then probably 6 single, if not 5 married and 1 single, right? And that means 40% death tax on anything above and beyond that. And so for this client, which was cool, they pulled all $5 million outside their taxable estate, which immediately saved them 40% on that $5 million for their kids. And so the intent is, how do you get it outside your taxable estate? The challenge is you often can't get it out fast enough. And we found that a great solution is the Deferred Sales Trust, again, without having to give it all away to charity, which is pretty cool. That being said, are you ready for the lightning round? By the way, you can learn more about that at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. And if you're a business owner listening to this, you can go to experttaxsecrets.com to learn more about that as well. That being said, are you ready for the lightning round?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Knowing what you know now, Jackie, if you go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget that you would make sure you would tell yourself to do?
Always have hope.
Beautiful. Simple. I like it. Next question. What's the one book, I'm sorry, what's the one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
Oh, well, I don't know if 4-Hour Workweek was in the last year, but I mean, I've been talking about it for over a decade. So I'm going to just stick with that one.
Beautiful. Tim Ferriss. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
Next question is this. What's your number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
Love God, love others.
Love it. Beautiful. I like that. I'm same way. Let's see. What are you curious about right now?
Everything. I'm like a knowledge junkie. I'm supposed to be on sabbatical in January, and look where I am. I'm like doing podcast interviews. It's like, oh, come on, Jackie, get it together. But I'm just trying to accept myself for who I am. I'm a learning junkie. I always want to be growing and want to be helping others. And so it's just is what it is, right?
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. It's a great curiosity to have. The last question I have, and it kind of encompasses, and I'll finish our interview here, is this. After all your success, helping all your clients out, helping other CPAs to grow their business, right, and doing everything you've done so far, how do you stay centered in your values? And then how do you stay encouraged to charge forward and reach new goals?
Ooh, I don't know if I could survive without a new goal. That goes back to like my, high school drive, that drive that's always been in me. If I don't have a goal to work towards, I feel completely lost. So I always have a goal to strive for. I think my children are what keeps me centered, and my husband and my mother-in-law who lives with me, because they don't know that I speak on stages or do podcasts and stuff like that. They don't care. They don't care about any of that. My 4-year-old, my 7-year-old, they just want to get hugs sometimes, and I just want to protect them and have them grow up in a loving world. And so that's really, I think, what keeps me grounded.
That's beautiful. Well, I want to thank you for being on the show, sharing a bit about your story, sharing some wisdoms for helping CPAs level up their business. And I want to encourage you to keep using the gifts and talents that you've been given, of really pushing back against the norm, right? Never giving up, finding every legal tax savings for your clients and for CPAs to also help their clients. And with that, for listeners who want to get in touch with you, Jackie, would you remind them one last time what's the best place for them to find you?
So my website, JackieMeyerCPA.com, that's MEYER, or you can go to TaxPlanIQ.com, and there's all kinds of ways to contact me. And then Facebook, Twitter, I'm Jackie Meyer CPA or Jackie CPA, and I would love to connect. I want to hear from everybody. Love it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jackie, for being on the show. And I also want to thank our listeners for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. As always, we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, or connecting with Jackie to get your leveling up your CPA firm, and using TaxPlanIQ is the best way for you to grow your wealth and your business. Please go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com if I can help you at all to clarify what the Deferred Sales Trust can mean to your business or for the sale of your assets. We thank you for listening and appreciate you out there. Please rate, review, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, iTunes.